Good evening. Welcome to Coffee with the Admiral. I'm your host, Admiral Von Hook. Let us start with a prayer, because our country needs it now more than ever. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and please, God Almighty, have mercy on us and deliver us from evil. For thou art the kingdom, and the power, and the glory. Thy will be done forever and ever, Lord. Amen. I was going to do a program tonight, positive in regards to our children, and what we can do and what is needed. But unfortunately, events changed that, and this is briefing. I'm going to read it to make sure I do it right, folks. I'm going to be reading some stuff tonight. Briefing 2.250. The other briefing was 2.0. It is called the Chamberlain Syndrome. Now, you're going to get a brief history lesson. Bear with me. Back in 1937, in May, Neville Chamberlain became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, which wasn't united at that time. It really wasn't, but we're not going to go there. He led it till 1940. He was a member of the Conservative Party. You figure he'd have his wits about him. No. He is best known for his foreign policy of appeasement, in particular for his signing of the Munich Agreement on September 30th, 1938. Ceding Germany, the German-speaking folks in the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia, and then later in Mermel, in the Baltics, to the Third Reich. Now, number two, following that, the invasion of Poland on 1st September 1939, which marked the beginning of World War II, or what I call CWW6. Chamberlain announced the declaration of war on the Third Reich 2 days later. He led the United Kingdom, note I said I questioned that, through the first 8 months of the war, until his resignation as Prime Minister on the 10th of May, 1940. This is the day for the invasion of the West by the Third Reich, after much ground had been lost already. I want you to consider that. Okay? Much ground had been lost already. Now, one of the things that he was trying to do was peace in our time is coming. Chamberlain sought to consolidate Germany and make that state a partner in a stable Europe. He believed the Third Reich could be satisfied by restoration of some of their colonies, and during the Rhineland crisis in March of 36, don't even get me started on that. He stated that if we were in sight of all round settlement, the British government ought to consider the question of restoration of colonies. Rhineland is not a colony. It was a part of Germany. Had been a part of Germany for over 800 years, especially after Franco-Prussian War. But we're not going to go there because, people don't like to talk about history, and I'm talking about history. And there's a reason I'm talking about it, folks. You need to understand this. This has consequences in our time. Well, I'm going to cut it short. Over the next 14 to 17 months, Hitler forced the Third Reich, the German people, between this, that, and the other. So he got to a point where he wanted Czechoslovakia. Well, the Allies did not want Hitler to have Czechoslovakia. Italy didn't want it. Mussolini opposed it. Now, what do you think about that? Because then he'd become too powerful. If the Czechs had a large population, had great industry, firm, stable government, and good people. Well, I call it the Munich Massacre, which of course happened many decades later. When Chamberlain signed it away. He came out of the meeting after 3 hours with Hitler and said, peace in our time. Anybody understand the news today? What did they say? Yes. I will not go further than that. And he waved a piece of paper. And unfortunately, that's what Joseph Biden's going to do tomorrow night. I have a signed document here from the terrorists that they're not going to attack us. Anybody remember 9/11? I wish I was smoking the dope he's doing, because I mean, he's really got some good drugs. But sorry, sorry, I got off track there. Going back to history. That part. It's irrelevant. And irrelevant never forgets. Chamberlain told Europa. That's what I call it. And he did it in such a way where he thought it would work. If I don't fight the bully, he won't fight me. Right? Just makes the bully stronger. It's only till you bloody a bully's nose that he steps back. I will repeat that. Bloody the bully's nose if you'll step back. Chamberlain did not. He felt retreat was the best way, and he did it 8 times with Germany, 5 times with Italy, and almost turned Portugal over to the fascists. It was that close with Portugal. And if that had happened, the British would have lost Gibraltar. Don't go there. Everybody made pledges, but nobody talked to the Czechoslovakian people. They didn't want it. They're Czechs and Slovakians. They thought it was okay. Their country didn't exist until after World War I, but hey, who cares, And they never worked together. But they had, the last 10 to 12 years got together. And were happy and productive and safe. Had a strong army, good air force. Didn't need a navy, they were landlocked. The French backed it, the Italians backed it, the British backed it, Belgium, Holland, a whole bunch of other countries backed it. And Hitler gave his guarantee he would not take the rest of Czechoslovakia if they gave him Sudetenland. They did, he took it, marched in without a shot, took the whole country. Made allies of Austria, Hungary. Well, Austria is kind of forced. Romania, Bulgaria, and several other minor places in the Baltics. All of a sudden, he had a ton of allies. And the Third Reich stretched from Mermel in the northeast to the North Sea, down to Switzerland, all the way to the Black Sea, and they were still retreating. Poland was crushed within 3 weeks. They fought well. Their cavalry charged panzers, horses and flesh and men against panzers. Panzers are tanks. Do not go well. The artillery was good. German Stugers were better. The Luftwaffe had air superiority within 3 days. Actually, it was less than that, but I'm giving it a little. So that's more or less your history of this situation. The coming of Biden, the mentally challenged. Note how I said that. Enter Joseph Stalin Biden as president in 2021. The Stalin Communist Democratic Marxist dictatorship began. His domestic and foreign policies have led us onto the cliffs of oblivion. I want you to think about that. We're on the cliffs of oblivion. On Friday night, Joseph Stalin Biden will give us his leaving remarks written by his spin doctors, the same ones who told him for 4 years as the commander in retreat. That's what we called him in the military, anyway. Okay, they showed us via the Stalin Communist Democratic Marxist dictatorship media, he walks on water. Well, I don't know. Well, he does it for 2 parts of America. And this is sad, because they've actually come to me and said this. He's done this for Black and brown America. I have been told by both groups, I'd estimate about a dozen in the first and about half a dozen in the former, that he is the modern day Moses, bringing us to the promised land and us only. He's going to print money and he's going to give it to us because we voted for him sometimes, several times. Can't make this up. They actually said that to me. I have witnesses. They were as flabbergasted as I was. And they were also Americans of African descent, Americans of Mayan descent. And they were stunned. And then here's the part that then he started the process of the stimulus. And every, I guess, in the past 4 years, every 3 or 4 months, an American of African descent or American of Mayan descent will walk up to me and look, hey, I got another stimulus check. Okay. Look at this, it's $1,800, no taxes. Don't you love it? Next day he buys a car. He lives in a HUD building. All brand new cars sitting out in low income housing. Anyway. So over the past 4 years, one guy showed me 17 checks because I wrote them down every time he showed it to me. Now this guy is a God respecting, good Christian, good man, great grandfather. He didn't serve in the military, but a lot of his children have. So I like him in Christ. But it's kind of disingenuous to me. Then he explained it this way, and several others. Black folk just don't trust white men. We don't believe a word you say. It don't matter if you show us in the history books, it ain't true. It's what we think and we believe, and everything else is just a lie from you because you're all slave owners and you're evil. I wish I could make that up. I got a stimulus check. IRS took 23% out of it. They said they never had taxes at all. For real. I really won't go into the disasters of the Joseph Stalin Biden domestic agenda. Okay. And with that, I will. Well, actually, they're very hard to miss. They're very hard to miss. Think about that. I always said that. Because the Stalin communist, democratic, Marxist dictatorship media has absolute control of the spin on the economy. Okay? And remember, the Democrats control every segment of our government now. So President Trump takes over. Think about that. Every segment of our government, top to bottom. Trust me, I've been dealing with it for 4 years. Here's an important point in regards to what Biden's going to say tomorrow. He's going to say, I created 16 million jobs. Bullshit. Most of those came from Trump. Actually, that's not true. Because 70, what is it? The Department of, I wrote this down, the Labor Department, the IRS, and the Treasury Department says that 73.81321345558% of the jobs are part-time. Think about that. And the rest are salaried with caps. In other words, you work 70 hours, you still get that same salary. Coffee time. Now here's something that I've talked about before in briefing. However, there is an important point which must be made. Joseph Stalin Biden Marxist economy does not consider this fact. The average family of 4, which is a mom, a dad, and 2 kids, the parents have to work between 4 and 5 jobs a month just to make ends meet. Now, let me explain that. One job, of course, between the 2 of them, they're taking care of the kids. They're each working a full-time job and a part-time job or overtime. You see how I'm getting at it? But according to, and I'm quoting, the Labor Department, IRS, and Treasury Department, and Health and Human Services, that is more or less the number. I want you to think about that. The reason employment has been growing is because people are taking on more and more jobs. I had one nurse, she's working 4 jobs, and she's by herself. I said, when do you sleep? 4 hours a day. I want to take care of my kids. She refused to go on food stamps or any of that other crap. Good woman. I like her. You got a better job, and I wish her luck. Coffee time. Navy coffee, you can't beat it. Consider that. A mother with 3 kids. Her mom watching the kids. Working 4 jobs. By herself. A single mother. You know why all those jobs are added? Because people are working more jobs. Duh. It's not that it's not rocket science, people. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh my God, I did. You're working 4.23581321 jobs. I'm sorry. Okay, I made a mistake. And according to the figures from HHS, Labor Department, IRS, and Treasury Department, the average hours given by most employers now in the Biden Marxist economy is 32.58132134 hours. And if you mathematicians out there understand why I'm using those fractional numbers. Can't see my smile, but that's okay. Every 8 days. Note how I said that. People are averaging just over 32 hours every 8 days. You understand why they're working second and third jobs just to make ends meet? And never forget, as I said in a briefing about 3 months ago, almost over 30% of our young people between the ages of 20 and 33 are working subterranean economy and are not paying taxes or FICA. Think about it. They're not paying in Social Security. They don't see a need to. They don't believe in the system. They don't believe in the government. They don't believe in us. They don't believe in America. Why should they? I'll get to that in a little bit. And I will say it this way. I will read exactly what I wrote. Great work, Premier Joseph Stalin Biden. You have equaled the output of the Soviet Union in the same way. They took 50 years to do it. You took 4. Now, James Earl Carter went home to Jesus knowing he was not the worst president in American history. Now, what I'm going to go to now is the foreign policy. There's 100 other things I could do on in internal, domestic. No need. I'll get to that in a point because it will be pertinent to our foreign policy overseas. Now, I don't like geopolitics because it affects the way I think militarily. I think draconian, I think militarily. If you want to hurt us, I will scorch the earth with you, and my napalm will burn the dog. Now, these are a few examples of non-classified as of this day, January 16th, 2025 CE. The Afghan route, joy. We suffered heavy losses in men, women, material, and morale during the horrible retreats. Over 300 Americans were abandoned when we left the country. There's another figure I'm going to add to that, but I just found out about it today. They were all terminated, except the women. Those of childbearing age became sex slaves. They didn't get pregnant, they killed them. And all the other women, they raped until they died. That's not in the Quran, folks. Over 17,500 Christians were all terminated by the Taliban. But see, we were there for 20 years. So Christianity came back because it had always been there because it was a stable country. Not anymore. Over 97,000 Afghan girls who could read and write were murdered. Over 75,000 Afghan women were raped and murdered. They were the mothers of those girls. Over 55,000 men were murdered. They were the fathers of the girls. Over 300,000 Afghan men and women and their families who support the old government were terminated with extreme prejudice. Think about that. Our defeats in Africa, sequence. Okay, we lost 5 countries in Africa in the past 4 years. That's not bad. We got driven out of our general headquarters in Africa against terrorism, or we had a headquarters actually set up there to actually fight the terrorists. And it was a rout. They overran us, complete fiasco, and we lost a lot of people. 500,000 Christians over the past 4 years have been terminated by terrorists. And that's the way I put it, okay? Because we have a lot of Muslim soldiers in our military. They believe in the Quran, and they also believe in America. And they fought alongside me. They bled alongside me. And believe it or not, I trust them. Because they know what's going to happen to them if they get caught by the terrorists. It ain't going to be pretty. We lost. Okay, I have no facts on this. I can only have what the term in the Navy is called scuttlebutt. Several of our foreign missions were destroyed. You know how I said that? I don't know if it was embassies, consulates, missions, CIA things like the 13 hours in the movie. I don't know. Basically, it's Benghazi all over again. Coffee comes. South America, Central America, there are over 13 groups of nation states that want to see it die. There are a total number of what I call warriors, not trained, but they have weapons, about 11 million. It's getting to a point now. Oh, I got 1 minute. Well, I got 1 minute. Real simple. I don't know if y'all know what a foo bar is, but we're screwed. When Trump takes over next week, he will inherit Armageddon. God have mercy on our souls. And to all of you and all that are there, be safe. God bless. Stay out of trouble.
Great call out, Admiral.